And welcome to a Saturday Q&A. I've been doing these on Sundays, but I just got back from Florida. I am not completely tired, but tired enough that I didn't feel like recording a video and editing a video. So I said, I'll just hit the live stream. I've been catching up on all the things when you're gone for like a week. But I wanted to talk about because there's people tagging me and things. And, I think these are always fun discussions. And for those of you wondering where I traveled to, actually, I'll just hold my badge up. I wonder where that QR code goes. I'll put my finger over it in case. I don't think it has my email address in there that I used. I was at IT Nation for a week, so I am back from that. Hold on, let me move the mic. Trying to get the mic in the right spot. But I was gone for a week, so I'm back, and always so much fun hanging out with all my friends and doing all kinds of fun things. But yeah, we're gonna jump in a couple topics here, and one of the ones, and when I put something in here, I don't want people to have to hunt for it. So the beginning of the live stream is going to be like the first thing, like Netdata. I do want to talk about it. I haven't done a video on Netdata in a while, and I believe right now Netdata is doing some sponsorships if I wanted to be sponsored by them. I'll figure out if I want to take any sponsorship money. But as of right now, just so I'm very clear up front, I like Netdata. They've never given me money. And I have done reviews of it. You can find it on my channel. But I think they just keep improving their product a whole lot. So let me go ahead and show you what they've been up to, because I just think it's some neat stuff they're doing here. And actually, why don't we start by looking at Netdata? And let's see here. If you haven't seen it, and let me find the right tab so I'll show you the locally hosted one. Here's my Greylog server. We'll put this up. If you haven't seen Netdata, now there's a way to make this work in Windows. That's one of the reasons I say there's probably you need to do an updated video, because they've added some features that allow data to be collected in Windows. But primarily, this is a dashboard that you can use in Linux to give you some really good insights into things. I have no smudge in my glasses. Sorry. I'll be cleaning them while I talk. But the Netdata is just a really slick, completely open source and free project that you can load on your servers and really get some cool graphics and insights. Now, I don't really use it like it's something I stare at every day. That's one thing. I mean, pretty dashboards are cool, but I don't look at them every day unless I have to look at them for something. So Netdata ideally is one of those services you use or software you use to pull up a dashboard because you'd like to troubleshoot a performance issue, whether that be memory, processor, whatever that performance issue might be. That's where Netdata comes in to say, hey, we're going to give you all the details and graph it out so you can try to determine where that bottleneck is. This is actually an invaluable tool when I was troubleshooting some unique problems with TrueNAS and figuring out the processor bottlenecks related to encrypted drives. This was exactly how I used it to figure out, to go through processes, look through data, that you can take the data and say, all right, let's just do like the last 30 minutes or maybe the last hour of data, hit apply, and start parsing through things to figure out, all right, what do we want on the screen here? What do we need? What's the things I'm looking for? Matter of fact, because this is my, bring it all the way up to dash here. This is my Greylog server. So what I'm going to do is log into Greylog and run some queries against it. And we'll actually watch let me put it on force play, because right now it's paused. We want to make sure we're force playing. I think it probably, I can zoom it in a little. That doesn't look great. It doesn't make it that much bigger. You'll have to bear with the small font sizes in here, but I think you can get the idea of what it looks like. Matter of fact, let's do it to very short time periods. We want last 5 minutes. Apply. We want to make sure it's force play, which means never pause, because it'll actually pause when it's we want it. Where's the force play? There we go. So now it's playing the data back as we go through here. So I'm going to go ahead and do a couple queries here. Do a search, change the search to 30. All right. Do a broad query. So there, updating search results. And you can start seeing it as it ramps up the CPU now. It was really cool. I think Netdata is like one of those just really great projects to start diving into. So I can say, all right, first thing I notice is CPU. Well, what kind of CPU usage are we seeing here for each one of these? Or let's look at the networking stack. How much more networking are we using? Well, in this system, we're actually using quite a bit more networking because the queries aren't local. They're on the server, but the data that is stored in my Graylog server is actually being pulled over an NFS mount. So you're going to start seeing a jump here as the queries go in the number of network requests that go through. How much disk for local disk? Well, there's some local disk usage when we're doing this query because some of the database, like the MongoDB is here. But this is how you can start parsing through and start understanding each little component of this and sorting out where your bottleneck is. Like if this query was slow, why is it slow? Did the CPU get maxed out and not have the data come back? It's just a really good program for that. And they have a incredible blog. So if you go through their blog posts, there's just so much to read through in here and everything else. So they give you all of this stuff for free. And they've got nice write-ups on here, like even showing you Netdata versus Prometheus. They talk about different ways you can monitor lots of different things. The whole team there is awesome. I really like them. I've interacted with a couple of the engineers and I really like it. But someone actually tagged me in this today. And this is where I will rant a little bit. And this is why I like doing live streams, because I can just talk about these things. It's hard to fit this into a video where someone on Twitter is upset that they charge if you use their cloud. Now, the software is free, load it on your system for free. But if you would like to aggregate your data and do more with it in their cloud environment, they have a fee for that. And people seem to be, well, one person, I should say, but not the first person who's commented on it. Just someone bold enough to, and hey, they did it publicly, so we'll put it in Twitter here. I'll pull this up. But this is something that kind of drives me nuts when it comes to some of these open source projects. And where was it here? There we go. Share this tab. And this is on my Twitter publicly for anyone who looks on Twitter. I don't know if you have to have an account for Twitter now. They keep changing things. But, I really like Netdata project and what they did. But I've been using it for a while since the first days. The long evolution seems to be, along the evolution also seems they're getting more and more close to the rest of the enterprise solution providers as everything has a subscription. They don't have a subscription. They charge you for their cloud, which costs money. And that's the part I don't understand. I don't understand the things that people are going on about with all these companies that give you free software. This is one of the reasons it's so hard for people to run a open source project, because myself, I've defended a lot of different open source projects, not just Netgate, not just Netdata in this example, and not just the XCP and G, but those are three of them, I have certainly talked about here. And I don't understand why people are so adamant, like, oh, they have to give me their cloud for free, but they give you the software for free to run on your own. If you use their cloud, it has a cost. By the way, companies kind of need money to keep their company going. I mean, Netdata didn't get pretty because someone had a couple extra hours of free time to do it. It takes a team of engineers and a business model behind it to really get good code out there. I mean, we're lucky that some people have enough free time to donate their code, but when this starts becoming a full-time job, when we really want to see a project take off and go to the next level for features, that's going to require that they have some money to fund all the development of it. So I don't understand. And if I don't want to be just picking on this particular person. They're just an example of someone, because I said using any cloud service costs money. That was my response. So, using cloud costs money. And they said, well, I understand that. And I said, how do you propose that they fund the dev team and infrastructure it takes to build and run the product? And yeah, the internet data just, they replied as well. That's one reason I'm talking about this. Thank you for your candid feedback. Long-standing support of net data. We understand your concerns about the new subscription model and limitations on the free version. Our goals and always have been. And they talk about all their details here. It's their cloud account that they're doing this. So yes, I don't understand. Doesn't that data have a overhead of its own? Yeah, but it's so minimal. We can probably pull it up on another screen. How much I don't even think it would register how little net data uses. So let me see if I can Is there a filter I can use for this? Maybe. Netdata. TA. All right. I'm going to pull this up on a screen here, but it's using next to nothing. It would be the way I describe it. So compared to everything else running on this host, I'm trying to see if I can sort just by CPU. There's not a way for me to pull this up on both screens at the same time, but essentially when I run these queries, where you're seeing, let me find my Graylog one again, share this tab. When I'm running these queries on here and doing this, it's pulling about 1% of CPU, 1 or 2. So yes, there's an overhead, but it's so minimal, it's pretty insignificant. But that's when I'm pulling it. So let me close Graylog. I'm just going to share another one and actually close this one so the socket stops. Let's see how long it takes to go back to 0. It's at 0.7 now with my CPU usage. So it's really, really minimal. It's not using much data at all in the background. I mean, and if you're worried about that, if like you are extremely resource constrained, you absolutely could start Netdata for your troubleshooting and then turn it off when you don't need it. I've got it running, I think I got it running on one of my Raspberry Pis as well, in like a Raspberry Pi 3. It's pretty insignificant usage in Netdata. Now, obviously, if you had a system that you can tune that data, and if you said, let me see if I can find more stuff to stick in there, and I wanted to monitor more things, because for example, it can monitor I believe it's got some Kubernetes plugins. If you started putting more data, maybe it'll go up a little bit in CPU, but I've never been concerned with Netdata being a CPU hog at all. So it's always been really nice. So not really been a problem there. But that's my talk about Netdata. Still love the project. I completely, if you are someone who likes to use their cloud, absolutely use it. I don't think there's a problem when companies charging for usage of a cloud, and I don't mind companies that ask for donations and things like that, because you have to figure out a way to fund all the developers for these open source projects. It's just the fact of things. It's hard to get. It's hard. I mean, if I could just do everything for free, I'd never need a sponsor. That'd be great. But somehow, there's a lifestyle I have to pay for. There's all these lights. Matter of fact, my lights had burned out. One of my lights that I used for my studio burned out. They were old, but I had to buy new ones. There's another expense I incurred. This is even on a YouTube channel. Apparently, LED lights don't last forever as much as I thought they would. So let me catch up with some questions here. Let's see. Netdata is a great program to use. Hello. People from all over the place. Hello from Brazil, the land down under. So I'm assuming that's Australia. Let's see here. Are you still doing the Homelab show? Yes, we are. We did it last week. We couldn't do it this week because I was in Florida. That's where this event is that I was talking about. So that I just got back from Florida like a couple hours ago. Hey, Tom, did TrueNAS Scale fix the loop back host for the server VMs? I set my first one up earlier. I did the ping test and for it pinged normally. That's a good question. That is definitely on my to-do list. I was going to do that tonight and I just didn't. I had to roll back my machine that has the VMs. Now I have other machines upgraded that don't have VMs. And if you have machines without VMs, I didn't feel like building a VM just to test this. So I don't know if they really fixed that, but they may have. There's a chance they have fixed it. I hope they fixed it. Set up a Debian system, downloaded and ran a home system Docker container normally. So you're saying, wait, setting up a bridge, ping test before starting it ping normally. I'm not sure. Everything should be free all the time. Yeah, that is a challenge. People get so angry when things aren't free. There's been a discussion in Reddit again about pfSense and people angry that they're charging money. I want my free firewall. I want the latest and greatest with the best security updates, and I want my firewall for free. And I'm like, I don't know how that's a sustainable business model. So people get mad when they charge money for things. I'm like, I don't really know how not, I don't know. I said I won't overthink some people, but I will share this again because I wanted to bring this up kind of to close the loop on that, if you will. And Oliver Lambert had shared this, and it's the reality of running an open source software and maintainer fatigue. And I'll just drop this link in here for people to read. I shared it on my LinkedIn. I've shared it on a few other places. And hey, take the time to read, break from an open source maintainer. And I spent a lot of my time in different forums. And I've been spending more time in the XCP&G forums because answering people's questions and everything else. And man, some people are just, there's some discussions in there from people that say you're just too much money, but I'm using this in a production environment. Like they're using it for a large business, but telling them I don't want to spend any money. I just want my free software. And they're angry that there's not like instant support. They bump threads going, I still can't get my 100 VMs to work the way I want. Well, do you want to buy a support license? Oh, I'm not paying you. I'm not paying you for your software. And I'm just like, yeah. It's just something that people they struggle with a lot. But hey, I'm not here just to rant. I'm here to actually talk a lot more tech. But I wanted to bring those things up. And the reason I bring them up is I'm curious. My mind can be changed on thing. If there's an angle I missed, call me out on it. Say, Tom, you're just wrong about this stuff. And then I say, okay, that's interesting. I'm wrong. And there's another perspective I could, deal with there. I want to answer a couple questions though. I got a little behind answering these questions on Vlog Thursday. So I've been trying to reply to some of the people as well, because Vlog Thursday at lawrencesystems.com, which I'll throw that up here real quick. I reply from that email address. So I have many email addresses. That's why when people try to figure out my email addresses, I have different inboxes for things because it makes my life easier. I organize everything so I know where someone found me, and then I make a time decision of when I will sit down and reply. So if you actually looked, you'll see like batching is what I do. I treat mail like physical mail. It comes in groups, and then it goes in a queue somewhere, and then I schedule a time. I'm like, this is the 30 minutes I will dedicate to replying to emails. And I'll reply to all the emails for 30 minutes. But that being said, a few questions that popped up, and I just didn't have a time to read through all of them when I did the last vlog because it was awkward on a laptop, but it's way easier sitting at my desk here. But someone had asked me, and I did reply to this person as well, but they were asking about the Homelab 15, which yes, I'm excited. So let me throw that picture up because I did get the Homelab 15 unit in. Where is that at? I think I like the case. There we go. The case off one. It's a much better picture. But I did get this in, and someone says, will it support clustering? And the reality is, it's not about this hardware. It's about the software. So they were speaking about Ceph clustering. Really, if you can run Linux and get Ceph set up on a server, doesn't matter if it's a 45 drives Homelab 15 server or if it's a grouping of, and I think 45 drives had a cool video where they did Ceph with Steam Decks. So yes, you can run this on anything that runs Linux. So that's definitely something to consider if you were going to build a few of these. I don't think Ceph is the right tool unless you just want to learn it. I don't think it's the most ideal tool for Homelab. It's kind of niche. It's not that doesn't belong in a Homelab or something like that. It's going to be for the niche Homelab user. I will do some videos on Ceph coming up, but I don't plan to do any. I probably won't be like the tutorial guy on Ceph. It's not something, if you have a use for it in your home lab because you want to learn clustering and you plan to apply this, but it's not like you need Ceph clustering. It's not a requirement, if you will, for the home lab stuff, but it's definitely fun. Do you have Debian syslogs, journal Ds going to Graylog? Not specifically, but you should be able to ship those just with standard syslog or rsyslog. You should be able to ship those with that. I don't think I've seen some write-ups on it. I've done it before. I don't recall having any problems with it. So most of the services that are going to my Graylog are not raw Linux boxes, but more like, and we'll pull this up real quick. For example, I'm gonna pull up my hosts. And address. So where's it at? Hold on. Yeah. Share this tab. For this is an easy example, is right here, remote syslog and the IP address of the syslog server. pfSense sends its logs there. UniFi sends its logs there. This is where the XCP-ng servers send their logs here. So I usually don't have to go in and configure them. I've done it before when I was doing some testing, playing with our syslog, but generally I'm this whatever the tool I'm using has a syslog, and I drop that in there. Open source dev teams should utilize the community for testing to save money on testers, will allow community to have the latest and greatest. I mean, the problem is not really that at all. I mean, that's not where the issue comes in. And if you look up, and you can Google this real quick, and I brought up this about Netgate. Look up how much a kernel developer costs and realize that there's several people developing kernels working for Netgate. If you're talking about a person who makes $150,000 to $200,000 a year, it's not about them needing more testers for the kernel. You need to figure out how to employ people who make, good programmers are going to make over $150,000 a year. That's what the status is here in the US in 2023. How do I put those people on my payroll, build a product, and give it away? That's the challenge. It's not about just we need a better testing team. That's a bonus, having, the open source community help you and engaging with community on testing. That's a great bonus, but it's not it's only a really small piece of it. Let's see. Tuning in lately, tuning in to say hello. I was wondering, what is your preferred daily driver Linux OS? Bonus if it has a GUI. Yeah, Pop OS is what I use every day on this is Pop OS I'm sitting in front of right now. That runs my desktop. It actually, my editing system is Pop OS as well. The only Windows computer I have is my media ingestion server. If you watch my studio tour, you'll get a better understand what that means. But there's a HDMI 4-port card in a Windows machines because it's just easier to do that in Windows. Maybe it'll be easier in Linux one day, but there's less challenges doing it in Windows. It's the software is designed for it. And that's what pulls all the different cameras in for my videos. So that's why. How do you think business is looking in 2024 for IT consultants and MSP? Really good. The conference I was at was great. I would definitely say things are looking good in that space. The regulation is going to push more people to need even more outside, which is good and bad. It's a kind of a burden for some of the small businesses. It's a lot for them to have to do that they didn't have to do before. The corporate companies have it, but the small businesses need it as well. So yeah, I definitely would say there's a lot more to do. There's a lot more to know. And that is one of the reasons I was at that conference. When you want an HA at home, it looks like Ceph is the way to go. Well, yeah, I mean, how many people need? It's a want, not a need. How many people really need to build? Because to build a proper Ceph cluster, a proper one, you need at least 4 servers. So how many people are going to dedicate 4 storage servers to their home lab? That's the question. If you want to build it right and build it robust and proper, we're going to grab 4 servers. And if your home lab says 4 storage servers and then everything else on top of it, awesome. They're great. I definitely know people doing that. I am on the other side of the home lab of I have way more servers than the average home labber, I imagine. I don't know. There's certainly people, and I've seen some. I was actually reading an argument on Reddit. I kind of get it. Some people, because if they're working somewhere that they make really, really good money, sometimes their home lab gets just eccentric for the sake of eccentric. Like they bought a dozen servers, they run 3 petabytes of storage at home because they can afford it. I've done some consulting with. I can only describe them as the children of wealthy people who just have bought some crazy expensive equipment because they can. I'm consulting with someone. I want to say a guy. I didn't ask. I'd throw out there. Maybe he's 17, maybe 16. Fan of my YouTube channel. Had no problem buying hours of consulting and spent a fortune on stuff. And I was like, they clearly budget wasn't even a concern for them. They were just buying stuff. They spent over $100,000 on hardware, and it was. I mean, it's wild. That's cool, but it's not for everybody. TrueNAS scale clustering is still in beta. Yes, it is, and only supports SMB. Yep. Yeah, the Proxmox one is nice. It's not very performant unless you build it out properly, but it's neat that it's there. Uh, you're getting more useful and more functional software. In the old days, when many free software products with shareware version, yeah. I'm waiting till the new version of Exo Store comes out. So until the new version comes out, I'm not really messing with the old one. I don't really have a need for the hyper converged storage. Seems like stuff in Homelab would be is like having a tiger for a pet. Well, the problem is getting it set up versus when it crashes and doesn't work. That's a whole other thing. So, have you ever been forced to buy IPv4 in the gray market? Looking to get 24 over and 24 for any cast. Uh, I've never bought any of gray market ones, so no, I don't know much about that. I use XE. I use XG. Haven't used XStore. How does that work? It's not. It's part of a paid package they have, so I've not really messed with it. Yeah, they have an Ansible playbook for self deploy. I mean, imagine you're talking about 45 drives. Yes, they have a whole playbook that works with their Houston OS. It's pretty slick, but yeah. Have you heard about the Zima Cube? Just started on Kickstarter. Yes, I have. It looks pretty cool. No, it doesn't have to be an uneven number for Ceph servers. Tom, between you and Network Chuck, I thank you both for all you guys networking projects. Not everyone is a negative Nancy in the world here. Thanks you for the videos. Awesome. Good to hear. My lab is silly because it can be. Absolutely. Well, you have 3 NASAs. You want one more. You have space to interact. What it comes down to as well is it's not just the cost of the servers, the hardware. It's also figuring out, do you want to pay the power bill on that? This is, I seen this and someone was kind of, I think they were humble bragging, but joking about the amount of electricity they spend. I mean, it's kind of wild. I don't know what they're doing in their home lab, but they were talking about spending double what their neighbors were spending in electricity. I mean, it's up to you. It's your money. But I always I think about that myself. Like I can afford a more expensive electrical bill, but I think about what can I power down? What can I spend down? Me and Jay from Learn Linux TV, we actually talk about that a lot of how do we reduce our power bill? What can we turn off when we're not using it? I shut down all kinds of that. I shut off my computers. I shut off my studio computer. All this is powered down completely. Everything goes completely silent. Anything I'm not using is, yeah, I try to keep it powered off. I just don't want to spend the money on the power. Let's see here. Playing with private GTP, it's kind of neat. Oh, yeah. Yeah, the Jason Wendell talked about this the other day, was just how good running your own chat GPT. So if you don't know, Jason Slagle is president of CNWR. He was with me at the event. And one of the things we discussed though, and I think this is a great idea, is why don't we build our own GPT server so we can privately manage. We have a lot of data. So if we can start looking at it, I think I'm all in. Like, I think it's a great idea. I worry because it started with a discussion I had with Jason of, I have some anonymized data that I can take about, notes, but I want to comb through the notes, make sure there's nothing in there that identifies a single person or human. And what can we do to look at some of those data sets? But I don't really like loading things to ChatGPT because I don't feel like, I don't care how private they tell me it is, it's not the same. But running our own GPT server, we actually have a lot of things at the office, and setting that up and tuning it and training it on our data where we can just dump everything in there and see what it comes up with, I think is a fun project. You can cut lumber with your meter. Yeah, that thing just spinning. Well, in Michigan, for example, if you need to warm your house up, spinning up some large language model servers or some more NAS boxes, yeah, the waste heat going into your house to warm your house, that's a good use case. I'll probably spend double what my neighbors do, but it's the hot tub and the Tesla. Yeah, that's how I am too. I do have a hot tub, so the hot tub and charging my car definitely raises the electricity bill. Are you looking to buy any goodies for the Homelab for Black Friday? I don't know. I don't have a need for anything. Matter of fact, what I need is probably to call some friends over to help rebuild part of my network. That's my need is I have more stuff than fits in my rack, so I got to put a bigger rack in. So I got to take everything out of the rack, re-put it in a taller rack because I was short-sighted a couple years ago when I put this small rack in 2020. Like when I got the house, we put the rack in. Then we built the studio. And I said, "Oh, we'll just do this." Well, I've decided it's going to be more convenient to have a couple more things in my rack. And they'll fit. I don't like when they're tight. I like to have a couple shelves in between where I set things. And I've just gotten lazy about going up to the office, and things have accelerated really fast. There's actually a lot of stuff at our office because there's projects there. So it's turned into I need to put a bigger rack in. So I haven't found anything I need that's on sale. I have more stuff. If anyone wants to come over to Tom's house and help them rebuild things, I can't just invite the world over it. I'm hoping some of my people who already know where I live, friends, I'll have to invite them over. Uh, there's the company making a split of Casa and Tozima OS for RAID and other features. I'm missing some context, so. A little off topic, but solar powered Tesla chargers in home, are they not viable? They are. I have a wooded lot. So the challenge with me is I have too many trees. The I will pull it. It's easier just to show you like where I live. Doo, doo, doo. There we go. This is the challenge. Please note, this is my backyard and there's trees all around me. So there's nowhere to put solar panels where they would be effective. So yes, they're good. Yes, I would love to have them, but it was a trade-off. If I would have bought a house that had some sun exposure, it would have been great. But this is my backyard and my front yard similar of just too many trees in the way. I do have some friends that have very large solar panels. It's a very effective way to do it. Yeah, something I haven't messed with it enough. It's in their documentation if you want to read through it, how ExoStore works. Matter of fact, they just updated, and I'll pull this up because I thought this was good. Profile. Doo, 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 doo. They just redid the documentation page, and look, it's me. I was excited. My latest videos in here. Tomic's video explaining XCPNG. Also, my friend Radal, they threw him in there too. So yeah, they've got a new page where they're updating all their documentation and everything. So it's really cool. No, there will never be a version of pfSense based on Linux. And the reason why is pfSense is too interdependent on very specific functions in FreeBSD. You don't need a 42 rack, but we can do it if you want. Yeah. So I got Jason. Jason will work for whiskey. So we'll pour some. We'll get a couple beers, a couple drinks, and we'll tear apart my rack. And we'll film it. We'll make a video about rebuilding Tom's studio lab. Talk about, I've shown my lab rack here. It was really nice, and then it got a little not nice, and I made it nice again. I actually last week fixed it up a lot, but now it's full, so now it's just got to be made bigger. But it is still relatively organized. My NAS is true NAS scale, so it's Kubernetes structure running off an old gaming system components, 3600X set to 65 watt mode in BIOS. Yes. My utility says there's one house that uses more power than I do. Sounds like a challenge. I don't know. Might be a grow room. Here's the question. Before, where's that old picture? It's Roof. I thought this was hysterical. It's an old picture on Reddit, but someone's like, "Oh, can you spot a?" It used to be, "Could you spot the person with the grow room?" And now people are like, "Well, you could also be pointing at the person with the home lab." Both of those things are definitely possibly true. We also know where it's cloudy a lot in the fall and the spring. Yeah, Jason lives relatively close to me, and same thing. You can get an ROI if on your good return on investment on your solar panels under the right circumstance. So my friend has a farm out about 15-20 minutes from here. So it doesn't take long to get out to the farmland from where I'm at. So maybe about 20 minutes away. And he's got a giant barn, like a really big old barn, and he put solar all on one side of the barn. He runs everything off of that. It's really impressive, and it faces the barn was just perfectly positioned on that side where you put the solar panels to face south at the right angle. So you didn't have to build any special, you know, uh, make it look kind of funny. It just sat right on the barn. That side of the barn faces south, and he produces a lot of electricity with it. But once again, there's no trees on that side of his barn or anything like that. So there's always challenges when it comes in there. There was a company in Europe to place a server in a house apartment and use as a heater. Yeah, Uh, Raspberry Pis save you money. This is actually this has a Noctua cooler in it. I don't remember why. I think it's because we had one and we didn't take the little things off. But this is another Raspberry Pi 4. And these are fun. I love setting projects on them because it feels like I'm being efficient, and they're pretty fast. Yeah, I think that does look. I think I would, based on the license plates, I'll say this is in the UK here. Normally, grow houses bypass a meter. We don't. We're not close enough to a coast. I guess if you got up by the Great Lakes here, because I'm in Michigan, Detroit area, there's some definitely wind farms that are right against like the Great Lakes, but right where I'm at, it's not particularly windy, so they're not as is. It's kind of flat, and we have trees, so you have to build wind mills way taller than the trees, so they're not easy. What are you doing to install that for what are you going to install on that 45 drives unit? So on the Homelab one, I plan to just I'm going to load Linux. I'm going to load um, the Houston OS on it. I probably already has it on there. I didn't boot it up yet because I haven't. It came in and I had to fly. So like I came in, I went up to the office, I unboxed it, I took a couple photos, and then I had to fly to Florida. So I didn't really have a lot of time with it. And I just got back from Florida and I didn't go up to the office. And I was like, yeah, I plan to probably just run Linux on there. I'm going to run Linux, ZFS, and probably a bunch of stuff in Docker. I'm going to use it natively with Docker instead of trying to load something on there. It'll be basically my awesome Linux box that I'm going to run. So I'm just going to be very manual with it. I'll probably have Portainer on there to help me manage Docker, but it'll be just a whole lot of Docker stuff and then a ZFS array. So I'm going to really play around with it from that perspective and start building it out that way. But yeah, it's probably not going to get. I might do some testing with XCP-ng on it for funds or maybe Proxmox, but more than likely it's just going to run Linux and go from there. Your gray log and Blumera videos are great. They really help me fix the noisy default deny rule log entries that were showing up in a LAN interface. Awesome. What features allow you to use single SSD for guest internal net access and is done by mapping passwords to different VLANs? What is required? Does the AP switch and firewall need to be standard? So this is a feature that I showcased on Alta, and I think it's in release candidate for the 7.5 series. I forget the exact number, but it's a release candidate that has this in for UniFi. So it's a feature of the access point, and the access point then can take the password and determine what network someone belongs on. So they can have one SSID, but the password given will land them on the network that is supposed to be on there. I would be running Debian on that. So Debian, it'll be my generally that's my distro of choice for servers. Oh, Casa OS is the company offers the RAID. Has a RAID probable had to use ChurnAS and ZimaQ. Yeah, the ZimaQ would probably be ChurnAS to be my guess. Would what I would run on the ZimaCube. And what priority would you start to UPS things? Everything that's important goes on to UPS. So I need more context to answer that one there. When building a production class open source TrueNAS solution, do you see an advantage of running SAS drives instead of SATA? Yeah, more specifically, enterprise drives are different. And I want to do a discussion with 45 Drives. Go back and listen to the 45 Drives podcast, their first episode of What's Spinning. And there's a good story about why to use enterprise drives, especially in production environments. There may be exceptions where it may not matter as much, but pretty much you're going to want to use your enterprise level drives on production, not just about SAS, but more specifically enterprise ones, because there are some definite advantages to doing it. And there's a story that they shared about a customer that called them that was having all kinds of problems with a large Ceph cluster, and they realized by buying consumer drives they created a bottleneck and it wouldn't perform near what they had thought. So there's some performance about how the queue depth works on there and the overall longevity of those drives. So yes, definitely some differences there. I'm not in a hurry to get a Raspberry Pi 5 because I have 4s that I have a few 4s in use. I have a 4 not in use. So until I've used up all the Raspberry Pis, I won't buy another one. I have too many other things going on. Can you get SAS drives with dual actuators? I don't know. Wendell talked about them. I don't know what all models are available for that. I can't wait for Pi 5 compute modules. Makes for a nice NAS or a nice SSD NAS. No, the problem with the TrueNAS hands down is one of your best NAS softwares out there. So we'll start with that. TrueNAS, I don't know if they're ever going to make a Raspberry Pi edition. I just don't think that's anywhere on their roadmap at all. And so I would say probably you're going to end up with NAS being still on x86 for quite a while. I don't foresee, for some of the limitations, that the ARM is going to make the leap into the NAS market. There's going to be niche. There's things you can do with it, but I don't think it's really that ideal, if you will. It's not a never, it's not a no, it's just a not likely. But I could be wrong. I'm fine if someone says, Tom, didn't you know this company's rebuilding this incredible NAS software all with an ARM-based system? I'm all in. I like the concept because I like how power efficient that can be, but I just don't see anybody doing that right now. I think it's just too much of a compromise. A NAS and a Pi will always be a compromise, and I think that's it. Yes. This is another thing. Like a Pi doesn't have enough PCI lanes, so this is one of those it's PCI lanes, but then we're like, okay, we need some interconnectivity, so we need an HBA controller. Then you run into the problem of where do I get drivers for an HBA controller? Are the HBA controller companies going to start building out drivers for the NAS as well? And this is where it gets kind of to be a problem. Tony Francisco, good to see you here on the live stream. Tony's a friend of mine that I always enjoy seeing. He lives in Florida somewhere. I don't know, but he met me at the event in Florida. I don't know if he drives or flies here. I don't know. I don't know where you live other than Florida. And if you told me the city, I have no geography in my head for where things are in Florida. A Pi NAS should never be used in production environment. To play with it is have a neat thing for sure. Never for anything important. I mean, there's all kinds of cool things that may be important that you're on there. And Jeff talked about that. Jeff Geerling has a really great review on that really high end server. Loved it. Great video. Definitely something to talk about. But you know, it's still kind of niche right now. But let's pull up. Let's swing to some different topics real quick here. One of the ones I'll swing to real quick. Here, I'll pull this one up. Log into one of these servers. Oh, I can't log into that one. If I could. I'm trying to find a server that doesn't have any personal information. How about this one? Yeah, I can show this one. But I want to bring this up too. I've been testing the latest PF Sense. So for those of you wondering, there's a few things I'll talk about on this first. I talked about it the other day on Vlog Thursday. This is the dedicated video I'll be releasing tomorrow because I got all my notes for this and I've been updating systems. But they released new versions of PF Sense, and I've been upgrading systems to it. So we have Netgate releases the PF Sense CE. So once again, another release of CE. So all the people that told me CE is dead, never getting a release, can be told again. I think I've been doing this for 5 years where I start those videos out with, for all the people that told me CE was dead, say this version's dead, because you've been saying it for 5 years of me doing videos of telling me this is the last version you're ever going to release. Anyways, Netgate releases CE version 2.71. Can you tell I'm annoyed by people sometimes? Sorry, folks. But the big deal here with the PF Sense Plus and CE, and I'm just going to bundle these updates together because they're really the change. And this is the big bundle change, which is the OpenSSL upgraded to 3.012. One of the challenges right now is the people were someone was arguing me on my last vlog about this, not being concerned about OpenSSL 111 not being supported. It's deprecated in September of 2023. There's already been a CVE found in it. It's not, I don't think it's major. I don't know the full scope because last I looked, it hadn't been assigned a score yet. It sounded like it was more of a generation problem of the way it was generating things, but I don't know. I haven't read the details on it. Nonetheless, the bigger deal is just the fact that they finally are getting all these things updated. This is not easy. It took Netgate, who works on this with a pretty big team, quite a while to do it. And I've been commenting that this is something that is behind on OpenSense of them not getting this done because they don't have the team to do it. And I'm assuming, I don't know. It sounds like resources are just limited. And this has kind of been a challenge. So PF Sense, you can do the release candidate, which I tested. It works fine. And I've tested I've been upgrading systems. As soon as I got back from Florida, I went back to upgrading systems to the latest version. So this system here, this is the one that's doing the live stream right now. Yeah, 2309. I'm running the latest version for this system. So yeah, I've been recommending it. The one thing I will say is a bit, this is going to be part of the video. The DHCP server is the Kia one. Kia DHCP. I'm trying it on this system, but that'll be a talking point. You don't have to do this, but I found bugs, but I didn't find them. I ran into them. They're already known by other people. I just found them the hard way. And then I realized other people had found them as well. But there's some bugs in the new DHCP server, but this is another talking point. So it'll be the OpenSSL, but I've been upgrading a lot of these systems, doing tests. I even tested the RC release just for hell of it. And it's been pretty good. So if anyone wants to jump in the testing, hey, jump in the testing on this. But the PF Sense CE is going pretty well. Now, something else that they announced that I want to bring up, and this is something we talked about this internally at the office, and I posted on LinkedIn, posted on Twitter about it, and it's the fact that Squid is dying. And Netgate is also getting rid of Squid. So yeah, it's all going away. I'll be talking about this too. I'm going to kind of, I have a longer video I want to make tomorrow about the changes in PF Sense, the changes to Squid, and the changes in both versions of PF Sense. Let's see here. Hey, Tom, what about St. Augustine, Texas? I have not been to St. Augustine, Texas. I don't know where that is. There's not any open source tools to manage all your PF senses. You can use, if you look at my forums, people have posted some Ansible scripts to do it, but there's no no one has built any open source tools for that. So you catch up on all the questions. Look at a configured packet fence NAC and want to know if you've ever configured PFSense to route a single VLAN and subnet across the VPN between multiple sites. I mean, technically, if you look at my video on the topic of doing a privacy VPN, just connect it to someone else's site, and then that you can also use it to take an entire VLAN and send it across. That's just routing policies. You can, in the routing, you can choose what gateway it goes out, and you can choose that gateway to be a VPN. For me, Netgate doing the release in reverse to the Plus subscriber sheet is updated first round in community in case there's a problem for the community. I'll be able to test it first. It's not backwards. It's actually not. It's because of the level of testing that takes is why it does that, and how there's a cost to building PFSense. It's not like you just click the compile button and it goes. The teams dedicated to it have a cost to them that build each section. Well, it's the same build team, but they do build PFSense Plus first. Why is Squid dying? It just said it for the first time. It works finally good with the Windows updates. So sad. Yeah. Well, let's talk about why Squid's dying here. I think I caught up all the questions, but we'll talk about why it's dying. So unresolved security vulnerabilities. This is one of the reasons they're dropping it. Completely makes sense. The register, and we'll talk about the person who actually did this. And here, let's just drop it in here. I'm not going to read this to you, but we'll throw some links in here. There's a link there. I posted this before on Twitter. It didn't get any engagement. I posted on LinkedIn. It got almost no engagement. There we go. Whoops. All right. And we'll go here. Here. All right. We like to say don't panic, but maybe. Squid Games, 35 security holes still unpatched and proxy after 2 years, now public. Here's the too long didn't read, though. It's really simple. They don't have the time to fix it. They don't have enough people. So if they don't have enough time to fix it, and where was it at here? Mm-hmm. I'll find the exact phrase he used. So I'll actually quote it. Right here. Welcome. This comes back to what I talked about earlier, and we'll pull this up and make it big. However, they are effectively understaffed. So everyone's going, please make the Squid work. Oh my! If the developers tried to charge for it and put developers behind it, people would probably lose their mind, get the pitchforks out, going, "No, they're going to charge for Squid. It's open source. I should get it for free." And this is the problem: there's not enough people working on it to fix the bugs, and without enough people to work on it to fix the bugs, the project just kind of falls over like other projects. So yeah, it suffered from a lot of open source projects. Tons of people using it, no one contributing back to it, and eventually the project just kind of fizzles out to where the couple people that were maintaining it, they go do something else, and they don't have time to fix all the security problems in it. So I don't know what this means for everyone else who's been using Squid, or how customized each version, because whether you know this or not, companies like Cisco, companies like Fortinet, many of these companies, and because they're black boxes, I don't know exactly what they use. But sometimes when you get to see within the software, I imagine a lot of them are using Squid under the hood. I just don't know how customized their version of Squid is. That's the question. And whether or not they're able to mitigate all of these or not. Yeah. So it's just yeah, it's a challenge, and that's what's happened to Squid. How do you get the lighting on your cam view so nice? I watch my studio tour. How my studio set up is all, it's, if you type in studio tour, just find the most recent one I uploaded. OpenSSL is required for my install Minecraft server and a bunch of server and Proxbox. I think this could use a more recent version now. Yeah, so firewalls are obviously a big problem to use this because the VPNs defend on OpenSSL 111, um, and they need to be upgraded. But yeah, this is a challenge for lots of other software too. Free software is expensive. Yep. Why is the new DHCP server being deprecated? Good question. And that is because, oh, let me pull it up. Where is that right up here? Do, 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 do. And the reason why is because the old one, the all other DHCP server has been deprecated. So this has actually been a feature request because they knew it was doing. It's taken 7 years to rebuild it and start putting this in here. If you don't recognize the name Christian McDonald, he's actually wrote some of the functions for pfSense. He's got a YouTube channel where he's posted some videos as well. But yeah, it's taken a long time, and it's because the old one got deprecated. This is one of those problems, and someone has to do the heavy lifting of rebuilding the code that makes all that work. You can't just swap DHCP servers. There's a lot of functions that need to come with it. So that's pretty much what's happening. So oldest, I have 0 instances of Proxmox running. So I don't use Proxmox in production at all. I've played with it. I don't know. I like XCP-ng better, but lots of people like Proxmox, and use the one that makes you happy is what I like to tell people. But the Kia server for sure is, yeah. Hold on, let me find it in this. Is it in this documentation? There we go. We can share this one. But yeah, it's in the Netgate documentation. So you can see does this mean ISC won't work anymore? No. Why you're doing this now is simply time to end this project is very mature code. It's not design instrument for testability. So all the point, blah, blah, blah. What's changing? And then I talk about this. So it's just, these are the fun things that happen. And this is one of the things that really people may not realize as well. Primary maintainer from 2005 to 2010, 2016, and Thomas all the way till 2014 to present. But yeah, there's not a lot of people in here, if you hadn't noticed. So yeah, there's challenges of open source. There's not many people doing it. People may not realize how few people do all of this work. And this is why it's so important to support these projects, because, if these people are doing it, especially if it's not their full-time job, and it varies. Netgate, as I brought it up, I know it seems to bother people, but Netgate, for all their follies and some of the goofiness, they are donating heavily back to the open source free BSD project. They represent a pretty substantial number of commits for the project they sponsor on this. What's happening? I'm not even sure what's happening. So that's my little rant on pfSense, Squid, and everything else. Had a client scan a QR code this week, entered M365 info. Of course, not random countries attempting to log into portals. We're wondering how Hunter's M365 missed this and never alerted. That's a Hunter's question. There's probably more to the story, so I would dive in with Huntress and figure that out. Without knowing your environment, without doing the investigation ourselves, there's always a lot more context that I would need to give you an answer. They are very public on it, and there's sometimes just, was it connected properly? Did they have the right telemetry in there? Was there something stopping them from doing it? Those are all the questions you'd have to ask them. I can speak to the things that I've done because I get all the data about them, so I can explain them better. But when I don't have the data, it's not easy for me to answer just as a general question. But matter of fact, we helped someone at the event who had a security incident. And I was really puzzled. Once again, didn't have all the data from them, and they weren't clear at first. We figured it out where they were missing a bunch of telemetry data to give us for the security incident. Turns out the reason they were missing telemetry is they uninstalled the agent that had the data. I think that's what I heard. They either uninstalled it or deleted and reconnected it to another agent. So first, I was like, well, all your telemetry data that would give you the history of this to hunt this data is missing. Then I realized it wasn't exactly missing. They had set up the agent differently. So I didn't have the information anymore. So once again, context of how that was connected. XCPNG is free. So if you start at their site here, you can download it. I have a video talking about how it works, but yeah, it's more enterprise focused than Proxmox. So I get why Homelab people really like Proxmox, and I've been trying to play with Proxmox, but oddly, one of the systems I have doesn't like it. It doesn't like the network interfaces on it, which then I learned was a known bug and supposed to be fixed in a future release, because it's got the Intel 226 cards, and there was a bug. There's a way to get around it. It's just I was lazy and didn't do it. I have another system that I am going to load Proxmox on. I'm probably going to load, I have this box too, and I'll probably load Proxmox on this. Well, you may have seen Patrick from Serve the Home review some of these. They're pretty cool. But these are the silly named R86S boxes. So is Kia good? Kia's beta. There are some shortcomings with the Kia server. I can tell you that. Let me pull one up. So if we pull this up here, and you can find this in their forums. This is a discussion. I'll drop a link in it. But this is in their forums, recently posted in the Netgate forums, talking about what isn't going on, what isn't working in there. So yeah. That was a question someone asked me. I forgot to reply to them. Someone asked me about setting up Netdata and pfSense. I think that's a terrible idea, personally. I try not to load extras on my pfSense, especially things that bind to the IP addresses. I don't think, but I don't know. I don't think it will mess with the firewall and cause any insecurities or instabilities, but I don't know that it won't cause any insecurities or instabilities. So I would not run this on my I would not run Netdata on my pfSense. If it gets in as a package for, cool, if it gets to be officially vetted by Netgate, but until then, no. How good and quick is email support with pfSense plus TechLite? Just got this week after I brought the 128 back. I would say great. I mean, I've never had a problem with their support. They're very, very, very knowledgeable. The beauty I find in Proxmox's ability to run nested virtualization. I have a couple of ESXi hosts on there. It was the easiest way for me to get around the ESXi 8 hardware restrictions. And you can do that here. If we go to here, I'll make it bigger. There, if I just click the button, that's the nested virtualization button for XCPNG. So it has it as well. You can do it in either one of them. So if you need nested virtualization, that's an option on the VM itself. Awesome that Jeff. So good to see Jeff Geerling here. Jeff joined us after us talking about ARM, but I did mention that Jeff's got that amazing video on that super fancy server. So that definitely worth looking at. And Jeff is both Jeffs, Jeff Geerling and Jeff from Craft Computing. Jeff Craft Computing already has his video out there. I just got back from Florida, so I don't have a video at all yet. But yes, we're all excited about our Homelab 15 servers. 45 drives are just good people. That's the best way I can describe it. They have been just amazing to work with and amazing supporters of the community. I think that they really hit it with this product well. I haven't even had time because I was so busy at the event to watch Jeff's videos, but yeah. Oh, cool. So the live stream's taking a little bit of time before the kids' bedtime. Yeah. Yeah, that's The always trying to find those little minutes in between. Would you use nested virtualization in production? Has there been a time I've had to solve an unusual problem? Yes. Is it something on the day-to-day basis? Not usually needed, but there's definitely been times where that is how you solve the problem. Debian 11 more stable than 12, or I would say 12 stable. I've not had any problems with any of my 12 servers have not had a problem at all. Docker and Docker, Kubernetes and Docker, any VM is as far as I've gone. Would use in production. I think you asked that, or I already answered that. True to ask question: is it safe to run RAID on all NVMe SSDs or enterprise? Are there enterprise SSDs for that? Oh yeah, I mean, you can run it on consumer, but you would be better. It depends on the performance you need. I mean, what's your budget? I Budget constraints are often what drive some of these things. And if your use case is fine with consumer drives because you don't need the performance that you may get out of enterprise drive, then use those. I'm using consumer SSDs on a couple systems that are in a mirror because it's fine for the workload I have. It works perfect for a client that says, "Hey, I have this level of IOPS requirements." Okay, does that IOPS requirements, and how long will you need to keep that IOPS up? So, how long are these drives going to last? Once you start determining those things for the projects, you're like, okay, this is definitely something that is going to need a higher level drive. What's the HBA card in HL15? I think they're all LSI cards. I think it's the same card. It might be the same card that's in my 45 drives Q30. Most of them are I think I'm pretty sure I have to look back at that video to remember LSI cards. Consumer SSDs are fine where they fit the use case. Yeah, for example, I talk about if people who watched my videos enough, I'll talk about my purple NAS. And the only reason it's called purple NAS is because through something that got actually abandoned at my office, oddly, someone abandoned a system with some hard drives in it. The system was dead, but the hard drives hardly had any use on them. And I said, huh, I mean, this goes back. These have been running for a lot of years, but they're a series of, let me pull the disk up, not out. Where's the smart status? There we go. These are a bunch of WD purples that are been running for years. They're only 5,400 RPMs, but they're 10 terabytes each. So, they're 10 terabyte drives. But what do I do with those drives? They're just copies of all my videos. So I back up all of my videos every hour. That way, as I produce content or edit content every hour, they just go synchronize over to the purple drives. Well, maybe it's every couple hours. But the downside is they're going to be slow to recover. So if I need if my main server's crashed and I need that data back, it's going to take a while. But I'm fine with that. So it fits my use case to use these older purple drives. Whatever SSD you decide, just don't avoid real techs. Just avoid real tech. That they're always a headache. Do you separate VNC RDP software for XCP&G? If so, which one? Nope, I never use VNC or RDP. I mean, Windows RDP, I've used that. I don't really RDP to the things that are actually most all my stuff, with very limited exceptions, that are running in XCP&G is Linux servers. So I just SSH into there. Raspberry Pi security cameras. That's a Jeff Geerling request. Security. There's actually a project for this. What is the name? The project got dropped but came back. Trying to find the name of it. Bonus points if someone can shout out the name in there. I did a video on it a long time ago. Motion Eye. Pi. Did Motion Eye OS Is it still going? I got to find their GitHub. This was a pretty cool project for a while to build for Raspberry Pis. I used to use it to monitor some things at my old house. So it looks, I think it got going again. Nope, 3 years, 3 years. Nope, I guess not. I don't see any recent commits. Yeah, so this project is still dead. It was a cool project for a while. Hopefully, someone picks up, or there's another one out there. If someone knows of another one besides Motion iOS, was you said someone said Owly? Raspberry. Hmm. Be pretty cool. I mean, I think it's kind of neat because you can build these. The downside is Raspberry Pis are nice, but there are some limitations to what they can do. They have an integration with Home Assistant. Cool. Who is the expert on YouTube for open source video surveillance systems that can run on SureNAS? No one, because there's no good software for it. That's the downside. I think, let me find, close the tabs, and I'll pull up. I haven't watched a video, but I know someone just did a let's see, free. All right. Frigate is the one I'm looking for. If you look for videos, and I'll share his video right now. But besides Frigate, I don't know much else out there that's particularly like good. Let me just jump around this video a little bit. And you got to remember, I didn't watch this video yet, but one of the reasons this video is kind of a lot is walking through, and he's probably got a write up on this. Let me find the write up as well so I can just share that. There's just a blog post on how to set up it. None of these are like easy turnkey setup. There's always a lot more to them. So yeah, here's the whole write up on setting up Frigate. But if you're looking for something as easy as like a Synology, I don't know anything in the open source world that even comes close to that. So, that's the problem. It's not like there's not anything out there open source that can run cameras. There's not anything that's like feature complete that doesn't require you to spend a lot of time building it out. I'm not a Mac OS person, so I don't know. Just commenting your video library has not helped me, but inspired me to do and learn more. Awesome. I don't think you're going to get any good video acceleration out of a Raspberry Pi. Is ZFS designed for running VMs or one or more storage? I find VMs on RAID Z1 are not very snappy with 8 WD Red Rust drives been running. I mean, that's just a problem of the speed of the drives and how many, it depends on how many IOPS you need. If you have a VMs that have a lot of read and write, you're going to have to get something other than those drives. ZFS has no problem working fine with lots of VMs. We have lots of VMs for our system, and it's backed by ZFS. It works quite well. It's really, really fast. We have a very performant system for it. So if I look at storage, this is on. Whatever's going on, I don't even know what's running right now. But like this is one of our systems at the office. There's no problem running high speed things on here in ZFS, but it comes down to the system you have. We have, let me, can I change it to just running VMs? No. Eh, whatever. There's at least 18 drives set up on here, and it works perfectly fine. A KVM over IP product that's affordable. Yeah. I mean, if you're looking for commercial or project, because the Raspberry Pi KVM is probably going to be the cheapest. And if you look up let me pull this up. I have one of these, and these are relatively cheap. This is the Bly KVM for all winter. I'm using this one right now. I'm going to do a review on it pretty soon. This is the cheapest one I'm aware of. If you're looking, if you're really budget conscious, cheapest one I know of is this right here. Yeah, this is based on the Pi KVM project, but it's an all-in-one box. What about closed source surveillance systems on YouTube? I would go with Synology Surveillance Station. I've got a lot of videos on them. Synology is probably the best one out there that I've seen for the affordability and security and doing something right. What are the options for have a software with proxy capabilities on pfSense? It's going to shut down. What do you suggest? I don't need a proxy. I don't. I don't know what I would use a proxy for. So you could build your own proxy, but you are going to because most of them are built on Squid. If you're looking for a caching proxy, then Squid is pretty much it. I don't know what the alternative of Squid is in the open source community at all. Yeah, he has a great channel, very concise write-ups for sure. Are there similar systems in PyQM? Generally cost about the same. What's the longest uptime you had on a server? I've had 420 days on Proxmox. We update them, so there's no. I don't set. Those are fun in my youth. Now we have to update things, so uptime is less of a concern. It was not less of a game anymore because it's pretty much we need to get these things updated. I want an open source solution for VDI infrastructure. I have Windows machines. I want the user to work with thin client PC screen. That seems like a bad idea. That's like a band-aid on a problem. I'm not a big fan of the VDI solutions. I can't wait till they all go away. All the Citrix stuff that is written really poorly. Yeah, I don't understand that as a solution. Most things, the world has moved on. It's more about delivering things as dynamic web pages and using your browser to connect to applications rather than trying to figure out how to render something across there. That's just to me a band-aid on it. Like trying to deliver apps that way doesn't make a lot of sense. It's the old way of doing it, not the new way of doing things. Blue Iris is a good Windows video system. It costs money in addition to the Windows requirements. Yeah, I've never liked it much. When I tried it, it felt clunky. But people like it. It has a lot of integrations. It's some people really swear by it and love it. I don't like the fact that it runs on Windows. That's my feelings. But hey, is Synology just the server side of things, or do they have cameras as well? They have Synology supports like a few thousand different cameras, or you can buy Synology cameras. Have you ever given Sophon XGS for Homelab? No, I don't. Some people like it. I have no interest in using it. It doesn't solve any problems that I want. And I don't like the fact that it's straight up closed source. If I'm just going to go with some closed source commercial firewall, I can do that. But it's just a closed source firewall that you have to register with them to keep it alive or whatever. I think that's how it works because they have like a home edition, but I think you even need to get the license to get the home edition to work. Hi from 38,000 feet. I'll assume that means on a plane. If it ain't broke, don't patch it. Oh, that is how we got into the situations we're in. New viewer, huge fan of your works. Would love you to see do a walkthrough for an end user Homelab style UPS setup and use cases. Um, I it's the same of any use case. I've got a whole video on UPSs. If you look, I haven't done many, but I did a deep dive just with a friend on UPS systems. So I don't really know. I mean, I can't beat Techno Tim's video on using Nut if you want to use that. Nut's the open source tool to manage shutdowns of things. And his video is solid on it. I have a video on different UPS types, but I don't know what the in between that is. Like I have everything on a UPS. There's nothing I don't want on a UPS. So I am correct. You do need a license for the home edition. Yeah, there's nothing about it that makes me excited enough to use it. Christian Lempa does some videos on it. So there's someone out there doing videos. I just don't see the benefit to me doing the videos on there. Sophos Firewall is free, does need a license and registration. Okay. Some people say, like I said, some people really like Sophos. I've had other people tell me they don't like Sophos. I don't know. I don't have an opinion either way on it. Well, that was short lived. Had to run because someone was playing with a kitchen cabinet door and somehow got to pop off. Oh, kids create projects. They're definitely really good at that. They are endurance testing things, Jeff. So I wish you luck with that. they they will test unexpected use cases of all kinds of things in the house. And as a child, I'm positive I swung from a door or two. I'm also I remember breaking a lawnmower when I was a kid. My dad loved to remind me that I took the lawnmower more apart than he could put it back together. And apparently more apart than I could put it back together either. I was quite young at the time, but I've been always born to take things apart. True that, as if the honeydew list wasn't long enough. Yeah. That is. I am happy. My youngest is 17, so they only ask for money and break expensive things. I want to read the details to make sure I'm right about what they're suing them about. I heard someone, and I have not read this, but someone said it was insider trading, and that's a different topic than security. So, is it insider trading, or it comes down to what the details are? It it's not like any of these court cases are going to be a real deciding factor in terms of like setting a case precedence. If it's just insider trading, well, that's already stuff these people get in trouble for anyways, as they should, because if you know about a breach before a breach becomes public and you're holding stock in that company and you then take that knowledge to action on it, that's just insider trading. That's not like the SEC breaking new ground and building a better security system. That's just insider trading. But a new rack will arrive. Happy to know it can get assembled at the office next week. That is awesome. At some point, Jeff, I do want to wander down your way to see your building. It's been really cool watching you build it out. Yes, at 17, they start breaking cars and breaking hearts. Yes, they change the complexity level of what kids do. My youngest is 17. The other ones, the other ones have been pretty trouble free. So I've been lucky. I've been blessed with that. They haven't given me too much drama. 4G, 5G backup WAN. What hardware are your customers using? We have so few people using that. I think I have a couple using Peplink. All my local clients are in areas where they have dual connections. It's cheaper. They can get, like, we have a client, fiber's their main connection. So high speed fiber is primary. Their backup connection is a cable modem. And we have a lot of clients where the dual stack option, and it's faster and cheaper than a 5G backup. They're suing them for their security practice as well as one of the execs. I'd have to understand exactly, because how do you set the standard for security? This is the case precedence that needs to be set. How do you judge that? Because that is the exchange vulnerabilities are a great example of Microsoft had bad information about how to patch. Gossi the dog, as the Twitter handle goes, or Mastodon handle, Gossi the dog tweeted the right instructions. So let's say you're someone tasked with patching Exchange. because you're a publicly traded company and you run Exchange. Who do you follow? A Twitter person who says, here's the proper way to patch Microsoft Exchange, or Microsoft, who actually at the time had the improper way to patch Exchange? How do I sue someone for not patching their servers when the person making the product, the company making the product, wasn't doing a good job of telling you how to patch it? Which one's the best security practice? And please show me the law that states that. That's the problem we're going to have with any of these cases. I know the solar wind stuff is a little more complicated than that, but yes. Let's see here. Um, Open VPN into home network, no issues. Can't get to TrueNAS dashboard. Mapped SMB shares already says in use. Can't get to my files. New user, a little lost. I don't know why you would be able to get to it. A guess might be, and this is something common, make sure your TrueNAS has the proper gateway, which is going to be your pfSense. That is, I'm assuming you're using pfSense. I am reaching there, but whatever the VPN system is, make sure that is in the gateway list of your TrueNAS. They made false claims about their security. Well, then that is an interesting test that we'll have to look at. If they said we patched our systems, but they did not, you have to figure out what's provable in court versus following best practice and trying to find that. But yeah, if they made a statement they did something they weren't doing, well, then that's a very different conversation. United in-flight Wi-Fi can be bypassed by VPN if connected using IP instead of fully qualified domain. Neat. We actually have some clients that are using Starlink. Starlink's nice. I'm not big on the SD-WAN solutions for seamless failover. They're nice if you really have to have it, but the extra added overhead of the SD-WAN, because they got to pop out at a data center somewhere, and the expense attached to it versus how often do these connections fail. If you have a area where there's a lot of flopping connections, sure. But we have dual connections at our office, for example, and they just don't fail very often. It's so rare. Same with our clients, and we'll get a notice when something switches over, and that's an annoyance. But is that annoyance worth the cost of SD-WAN? That's what you have to weigh out. So, oh no, we've had 3 outages last year. 3. Should I pay an extra X dollars per month for an SD-WAN solution to solve those 3 outages where the phones got dropped, but then picked back up a few minutes later? That's what you're asking with SD-WAN. Now, the salespeople, you got to have SD-WAN. It's the next best blah, blah, blah thing, and we'll do all kinds of magic around it. So I'm usually, most of the people pushing SD-WAN are salespeople, not engineers, because we go, how critical is that phone call? And now, are you someone who absolutely can't stop? Well, usually that goes in a data center at that point. So that's my opinion on SD-WAN. Finally testing out XCPNG using some mini PCs, and gosh, it's better and cheaper than the current Hyper-V infrastructure. Well, Hyper-V is a low bar to compare it to. Use Cloudflare tunnels. Yeah. 48 engineer who works with SD-WAN a lot, and SIP registrations may only be on one connection, and on VPNs as well. Yeah. This is spoken like someone who's probably used SD-WAN before. SD-WAN sucks. Okay, we'll go with that. Half the network issues at work are because of misconfigured SD-WAN. Yep. I've seen more things goofed up. I can't remember a while ago we had a problem. I think it was last year, a year ago. Their SD-WAN solution, I can't remember what they were going for. It kept determining their 5G was faster, so it kept running up a bill on their backup 5G connection. I was like, I don't know. I didn't write the software. I can't remember what company it was. I was like, I can't fix this. This is the problem with the way their software works. Cloudflare tunnels are not suitable for serving media content, and that is absolutely true. Setting up XCPNG in a nested VM right now to check it out. Probably set it up for a client here shortly. Oh, sorry, a little tired. Sorry about the yawn there, folks. But yeah, I you can probably run it nested. I don't know how well it would work, but nested. I've never tried. I think maybe I could try this. I'll nest XCPNG inside of XCPNG. Misconfigured SLA metrics and limits. Yep. SD-WAN especially sucks when some providers trying to sell you a bunch of junk routes through a data center so that the public IP never changes and adds a tremendous amount of overhead. Yes. Oh, good. Client install be in bare metal. That's the way to do it. Marketing for policy-based routing. Yeah, it can be. SD-WAN sometimes is used to describe a lot of other things that isn't SD-WAN. So it kind of depends on which marketing person and how far their head is up their ass. Always the fun of dealing with marketing people. I'm going to look at I'm going to go back to this here. I actually just reached out to him. Hold on. He has his resume on here. I always have it's a hard word for me to say. Appard's Adventure. But I do want to play with Frigate. I think it looks pretty cool. Ever use Podman for containers? I was going to try it one time. It looks pretty interchangeable with some of the Docker stuff. Not high on my priorities, but it looks cool. Nutanix. I'm not that impressed with Nutanix. It's a proprietary server. I wouldn't they just took all the open source stuff, wrapped it up into a proprietary server. Oh man, I haven't looked at their site in a while. Apparently they've also wrapped it up in AI. Your platform for AI success. Is this the one? Your apps, your infrastructure. Cloud native, business critical, Citrix, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. I don't use Nutanix, so I know we replaced it for someone. We helped them after they migrated. They made a decision to migrate before we did for XCPNG. Frigate is really cool. Have an edit YAML file isn't bad since documented, but there's no RBAC or auth. Yeah, like I said, it's not going to be a complete turnkey project. Extreme Networks Fabric? No, I don't use that. What are some of the things you do with your home automation? Turn lights on and off mostly. Matter of fact, the my home automation stuff just Home Assistant. Does it have power usage? It has some power usage on here. It's got my UPS power usage, but I can see if there's packages on my porch, if there's people in my driveway, and I can turn my lights on and off. And this activates. This is all my studio stuff in here too. But the automations are I have people detection that activates things inside of here. So if the Synology detects a person, not motion, but a person in my driveway, it turns all my lights on for me and lets me know. I'll say Nutanix sucks. Any way to make a old laptop home server NASA? I don't know about making a NASA some description. I don't know about that. What are some automations you're using with Ninja One RMM? I don't do that from day to day. My staff does, so I'm not the right person to ask. Maybe we'll do some videos on that in the future, but most of that's going to be posted in like the Ninja One. I think they got a Discord and forum. I don't do Windows day-to-day management. I have a There's a bunch of employees that do. That's not really what I do. Nutanix CE is free. Well, it's not free. It's just they've chose for now not to charge a license for it. So I wouldn't bother with it. It probably has a bunch of limitations that Nutanix slapped on it. So group of lights when I come home at night, so I'm never in the dark. Yeah, I mean, when I pull up in my driveway, if it recognizes a car or a person, it turns all the lights on. So yeah, motion detection, lights after midnight. I haven't changed the ambient lights in my kitchen. Um, do I have a picture of that somewhere? Maybe, I don't know. I put a bunch of LED lights in my kitchen, uh, over my cupboards and everything, and that's all controlled by Home Assistant. Yeah, they have object detection inside of this Synology. So you can do object detection. So when people come over, you can find the people. And where would that be actually? Pull up some smart application. Do I have this turned? I'm always changing things on here. Is this task running? Oh, that's a disabled task. Is it face recognition task running? That's the live one. We want to see recognition results.
And I think this is something cool. This heritage is cool.
Oh yeah, no, and Hannah's getting real. There's it detected people on the porch. So yeah, the Synology stuff works really well. I'm happy with it. That's why reasons. If you're looking for turnkey, Synology is pretty good. Got an old Nutanix server, just a rebadge Supermicro. Oh yeah, a lot of companies will just rebadge a Supermicro. Nothing wrong with that. I made an old laptop TrueNAS DR in Wave for my ZFS pool. 4-bay JBOD. It works great. Awesome. Are you still using MediaWiki for docs? I want to find something that collects your markdown files. Technically has been great, but too expensive. Even more, my data is stuck in their cloud. We use Hoodoo now at CWR for all of the documentation. I still like markdown language for all my notes for things, but for managing and tying together all the business notes for how we have over 120 companies that we have to manage data for now. So you need something like Hoodoo. We have too many employees to make it. I would say this is a tricky part. It's not that you have too many people. You can obviously see some large scale open source projects that have good documentation all done in Markdown. We have too many people that aren't good at putting Markdown together. So we have a lot of, just your normal employees. So Hoodoo's the solution that we went with for all that. We don't use IT glue. Bookstack is really cool. That's definitely a really cool project as well. I would say Bookstack is definitely a little more modern looking than trying to run MediaWiki. Would love to see how you structure docs in Hoodoo. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. See, the problem with doing the Ninja video, like Ninja has videos on automations and things like that. I don't know. I don't know how interesting of a video. It's just the time to create it versus how few people. But me and Jason Slagle talked about doing some like MSP training specific stuff coming up with it. I realize there's people who want to know more what we do. I have no problem talking about it, but for the level and the time it takes me to produce a video, the hours and hours to go into it, to make something that's for a super niche audience is kind of hard. But we've thought about offering some type of training or something like that, and we release it in video form for like how to set things up in RMM, how to do Hoodoo, how we tie things to ConnectWise Manage, all the back end stuff we do. We don't mind talking about a lot of it, and maybe we'll schedule some live stream Q&As where me and Jason just answer people's questions for that. It might be kind of fun. What is your reason for preferring Markdown? Is because of formatting? Oh yeah, absolutely. If you look at all my stuff, I use a tool called let's pull it up so you guys can see it. This is actually how I do all my notes for everything. And they're all flat text files. I just like keeping everything in text files. I use this, but I use it in dark mode. I just want to point that out. Their website's not in dark mode, but their software is. So I do this in dark mode. So if you're ever wondering how Tom takes notes and builds out his YouTube channels and how I work from day to day for whatever I'm working on, I use this and I synchronize all my notes. We would pay for that MSP course. Honestly, if you want to use Markdown, how many user employees have to read the docs? If it's small, you could probably log. It would be so broken for how it's not just the Markdown language; it's all the integrations as well. Um, we have a lot of things that populate all of our data, so we actually have tools on all of our clients, so we can dynamically generate a lot of the documentation. So it's not just the Markdown; it's also how do you? It would building all that out is not an easy task. What is that marketing tool? It's called Zettler. I'll drop a link to it real quick in here. Does Knowledge Surveillance Station or any others link to security companies that can take action if your system senses fire thief? Not that I know of. There's probably somewhere that has a subscription, but Synology doesn't have any features for that. I mean, you're probably looking at something, for example, by no means they're not. I just know from other people. I'm not sponsored by them. Simply Safe does that. They have features like that. So, your Simply Safe has the ability to have a camera and like call the police or whatever. So you can get a subscription to do that from them. So there's definitely companies that do it, but not Synology. I have an old DS218 Plus, pretty good. Yeah, I really like the variety of Synologies. I have a handful of them. Once again, I have my Homelab, as we talked about at the very beginning. I have a lot more things than the average person probably has, but I've been really happy with all Synologies. They're just so reliable, work well. Just they get things done. Remember, folks, document your users as your servers, names, emails, phone numbers, especially cell phones for when the IP phones go down. Yeah. All the fun documentation you need to have. For sure. All right. What are the other questions people have? Is there any more questions come in that someone asked this question. I'm gonna reply to them as well. But I have been using this tool for a long time. And I never really thought about it, but I guess this makes people happy if I did this. Is using diagrams.net, which, by the way, draw.io, diagrams.net. Diagrams files created in 2005 will still open the app today. That's really cool. I really like this tool. And we will open existing. Oh, I don't want to do that. Create new. Trying to find one that looks cool. Yeah, well, I can't pull that up. Like, I don't feel like doing it. Wants to authorize against my Google. There we go. I didn't want to authorize against my Google before I shared it. I was just like, no, don't do this. But this is a pretty neat tool for doing diagrams. It's open source. It's really nice. But people ask, like, some of the stuff I do in my videos, and can I give the template files away? I'm doing it all with the basic templates. I didn't load anything special. I'm using stock templates on here. So, but the answer is yes. I will give people. Let me see if I can upload one. Will that work? file. Hold on. Let me pull this, see if I can pull one up. Come on. Continue. There we go. Share this tab. So I build these demos out like this, and it I don't mind giving away the files. So I'll come up with like a sharing of all these files on here of how I build all these out. I'm using, just like I said, all the templates that are in here, but I don't mind giving away. That's what someone asked is, could I? And absolutely, for sure. So what are some real world use cases you have for Tailscale? By coincidence, I've pulled up Tailscale. I use Tailscale for my phone and my laptop when I travel. So because I was just in Florida for like 5 days, I don't even think about it. I just have Tailscale on my laptop, so it's my laptop thinks it's at home as far as it's concerned. I have access to all the same resources. I don't have to log into a VPN each time. I'm going to do a follow-up video here because it's a long-term review of Tailscale. I wanted to use it over time and see if there's any, with all my travels and everywhere I've been going in the last 6 or 7 months, did I have any problems with it? And actually, the answer is just no. Too long didn't watch. Tailscale works great. Deployed for clients, same answer. We've deployed it for customers, and I don't think we've done as many site to sites with it, but definitely customers who need remote access. We've done a lot of consulting on it, and it's just kind of one of those dead easy, simple deployments to get going with customers. They're like, cool, I can access all of my stuff remotely now. It works wonderful. I'm still on the free version of Tailscale. I'm for me, because we're not using it in a business per se. I'm using Tailscale for me, not for the business. Well, I am the business, I know, but we're not using it in a way that is, let me see, can I show all this? Yes. Share this tab instead. But yeah, right now you can see the systems that are connected. The IPF is connected. And for example, let me turn on my Google Pixel 7. Tailscale. How quick will it refresh? Active. Hey, look, connected. So it's pretty much instantaneous here. I just connected my phone to it. I think it's great. Yeah, their free version is fine. I mean, we have customers paying for it because of the number of devices or extra features, but yeah, it just works. The one of the interesting things right now to me is this one right here, my MacBook being connected. The MacBook keeps connecting and disconnecting because the MacBook, even though it's closed right now, it wakes up enough on the network to synchronize and then connects. I think that's kind of neat. But yeah, it just works. That's pretty much that's the way I feel about it. I haven't run past the limits. So if I run past the limits, I guess I'll go to the paid version. Oh, this is an important part of doing this in Tailscale. And I'll cover this too when I do the video on it, but you can do split DNS. And I like having split DNS because I've overridden sites specifically where my hosted things are. So everything works the same in and out of the network. It just works great. It's one of those things that's so simple. It's one of those appreciations I have for the engineering that went into it because nothing works that good without really good engineering. How do you configure Tailscale to work on your phone and detect if you're connecting from home or outside your network? Easy. You don't have to. It doesn't matter. I can leave Tailscale on my phone all day. It doesn't matter if I'm here or not. That doesn't affect Tailscale. Same thing with the laptop. It's probably on right now on my laptop, and because I didn't turn it off, it doesn't affect anything. So I can be here, I can be not here, and I'm going to access things like, for example, Fresh RSS. I'm going to pull it up real quick. It's freshrss.studio.launchsystems.com is the URL I go to, and I can go to that URL inside or outside my network as long as Tailscale's on. That's that split DNS setting. So the DNS answer is always the same. It's at this IP address, and that IP address is accessible on my network if I'm attached to it directly or if I'm on Tailscale. So still using VPN to access internal business resources instead of Tailscale. I wish Tailscale would be more segmented, different networks. I mean, it depends. Most of our stuff is authenticated through different web portals. So the network you're on is actually pretty irrelevant for our business. The network is very relevant you're on for my HA proxy and to my surveillance station and things I have, or my local resources and servers I have. Does surveillance station make use of the AI accelerators? It does not. You can't add in a card for that. We just log. What do we log? We just log in and manage them. People overthink the hell out of this. There's only like 4 updates a year to pfSense. So 4 times a year, you have to log in and make an update to them. As long as you can do that, eventually, then people at Netgate will have a central management system. I don't trust any of the third parties. So for right now, we just log into all the pfSenses for the clients. Please, for Tailscale, you can use it site to site and a client to client. It's not like OpenVPN or client server. I don't understand your question, but yes, you can do site to site or client to server. The British Tailscale guy did a really good video on split DNS. Yeah, he works for there now. That I believe it's Ironic Badger. I know him. I forget his real name. I know him on Twitter as Ironic Badger. He's a nice guy. I've talked to him. He does, I think, the self-hosted podcast as well. Super smart. Does a lot of work with Linux IO. I believe he's one of the people behind that as well. But now he's got a job at Tailscale. Yeah, that's a nice thing too. Tailscale finds the best route, whether it's local or remote. So even though, like right now, turning Tailscale on my phone while it's connected to my Wi-Fi, it's not going to bother routing out over there. You're going to go to the best path. Let's see here. I was just looking at my fresh RSS feed. I was reading the news and I cleared them out, but I always laugh because I have myself in the feed. This is how I make sure that all my RSS stuff comes in and is working even for my own channel. Because I have a few people's channels in here. So hold on, clear all this. I have a video on Fresh RSS if you're not familiar with it. It's just a great tool. But whenever different people, if Jay releases a new video, I've got them all organized here. It's one of those things that if you want a better experience than YouTube shoving the videos in some random order to you, like if you have channels you specifically really like, Fresh RSS makes that easier. Like, hey, where's Jeff's videos at? Here you go. Here's Jeff from Craft Computing. Or I'm sorry, Crosstalk Solutions. Where's Craft? Yeah, Craft Computing. That's what I meant to click on. 45 drive servers here. It pulls a description in for me, grabs a thumbnail, and boom, I can watch this video. I really love Fresh RSS for things like this. It organizes. This is how I read the news and keep up with it without getting distracted. How does Tailscale define users? Is that by number of externally connected devices, or how does that work? Is the one thing that sometimes confuses me looking at their plans. I think they define it by devices, if I'm not mistaken. Let me look. Yeah, so what it's maybe they have you can have 3 separate users, but up to 100 devices. And you got to figure, I am one user. How many devices do I have? Well, I talked about my phone. I talked about my MacBook, my Synology. Those are all devices, but I'm only one user. And I don't want to give everyone my credentials to authenticate their devices. So users are each user attached for authentication. Devices are the devices that user authenticates on. So if someone had, 3 laptops, well, you can have one user with 3 laptops. That's possible. And then you would want all 3 of those laptops on Tailscale. So now you've got 3 devices to one user. Hopefully that makes sense. Do you have a write-up on your forums on how to scrape news sites with fresh RSS? Don't use RSS or Atom. I don't really have a write-up on that, but all the major news sites support it. I don't really think I ran into any that don't. But you can do that. Fresh RSS has more instructions on it than I do. There's not a new. I have the list of news sites that I have in there, in my Fresh RSS post on my forums, but all of them, I mean, pretty much everything supports RSS. You're looking for some pretty obscure sites if you have them that don't have some type of way to scrape the data. And there's probably some tools out there to help you build the formatting for it. I've just not run into them, so I haven't spent much time on it. Have you deployed or seen TrueNetScale HA setting out in the wild? I deploy a lot of Dells, VxRail, but I want to maybe play with open source scale enterprise aside from my home. I mean, out in the wild, we sell them, so we are the ones putting them out in the wild. I mean, when you look at the photos I post of all those servers, they're not all for me. Just so you know, these are going into customers frequently when we talk about like these large storage servers. So we are the ones definitely putting them out there in the wild. Correct. TrueNAS HA is not free, and if you go to TrueNAS Core, like the dual motherboards, that's also tied to their hardware specifically that they build. Oh, good. Glad it made sense. So that is awesome. Yeah. So there's 2 ways to do it. They have, if you look at the M50, start closing tabs again. There's a lot of them over here. Do, 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 do. All right. I think they have a really cool visual. M50. At least they used to on their site. Let's find out. M series. Oh, they got a video on it. 100 gig networking with their M50. Data sheet architecture. So they have this cool visual. There, you get an idea what it looks like. But yeah, they have a very specific backplane that allows for the. It's a dual motherboard system. Thought they had a better picture of it, but either way, you get the idea. They've got this really slick dual motherboard system. I've got a video on it. So yeah, it's kind of like their hardware. Yeah, the HA on them, that the clustering, it's not I mean, it produces high availability, but it is file system clustering. You actually can't, it's in beta right now for 1. 2, it's using Gluster, and 3, you have to use it with their licensing they have for what is that? True Command. So you do the clustering with True Command. It's not something built in. But yeah, it's definitely a yeah, 50 petabytes. You can put a lot of drives in these. You a lot of storage. dual hot swap controllers. I like these systems. I've not done the M60, but the M50s are definitely awesome. The M60 is the next one they made. But these are not cheap. I mean, you're talking about something that starts in the $60,000 range. So best to run Linux Exchange running Gluster FS. Gluster or Ceph is going to be better for that. Well, I mean, that's what they're doing they're doing Gluster. I would lean more towards Ceph. I just did a Ceph training class, so I'm biased. I spent 2 days learning Ceph. Ceph is awesome, but Ceph in itself has its own complexities and how it depends on what the environment needs it. I don't sell overcomplicated solutions to clients unless those complicated solutions are needed. This is where people kind of oversell and then can't maintain or support. You don't want to sell anything without the client understanding what it's going to cost to support that over time. It depends on the client again. So people who are buying individual, like media companies that want to manage their own data, we've got a few of the media companies just running 45 drive servers with TrueNAS, and it works great for them. We had a data sciences project for a client. They have 2 petabytes of storage, and it's 45 drive chassis running TrueNAS. That works fine for them. So TrueNAS works really well. When you want to get more advanced, the Ceph stuff is really nice when you start want to tie a lot of those things together. So yeah, the Ceph stuff is really nice, but it's like anything. It comes with complexities of managing it because if it all falls down because someone broke it, who knows how to fix it? I'm pretty good at fixing TrueNAS. I had to fix someone who goofed up some TrueNAS stuff. I can usually fix the TrueNAS system, but these are those problems when people get these things broken or an update breaks something. That's where things get complicated. In your opinion, NetApp performance and support is much more competitive than IX systems. I don't know. The people we've talked to don't seem to think that we've sold systems to. NetApp is quite expensive, and I didn't find them that impressive for performance, but I don't know. We sell a lot of TrueNAS, and we've replaced a lot of different systems out there. The one I hate the most though is working with 3PAR. That's been the worst one. That's a more recent client we have that had a 3PAR system, so really not impressed with it. 3PAR was just their support and everything seems to be bad. But then again, they're owned by HP, so who owns NetApp? Um, is NetApp an independent company? Okay, so they're publicly traded, so they're independent at least. While doing radio configuration stuff in my in as many unrelated stuff questions as I can. Yes. Anything owned by HP is terrible to work with. You are not wrong about that. Someone really put those prices in perspective for me, one at a time. You can go look on 45 Drive site and price out a system. I really like they keep all that public. It's not hard to go to the 45 Drives, look at their solutions, and click build. Let's build the more expensive one. So, this is right on their site. You go here. What do you want on there? Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, we'll go Rocky Linux in Houston. 32. Let's go all out. Let's build this thing super fast. We're going 100 gigs on this thing. We want 100 gig QSFP 28. And let's get 60 drives in this thing. Because we can put 60 in here. So we'll say 60. There we go. And we'll probably need 4 of those. Next. We'll skip all the configuration stuff and go stock here next. And get a price. But you can see the price up here. I'm not going to fill out the contact form. But yeah, $61,000 to buy all those drives. three par, the nightmare has caused me to my core. Yes, you've clearly worked with the 3 par. The quotes we got, NetApp can get all flash, but TrueNAS only SSD cache on HDD. Huh. I'd have to look. I don't know. NetApp, I'm not I haven't quoted a lot of people that told me they were comparing it to that, but generally speaking, the TrueNAS is pretty competitive. I've been told like it's really competitive against some of the other stuff they've seen, but I don't always get to see the other side of the quote. We're the TrueNAS people bidding. I don't always know who's the other side bidding, so I don't know. I can't speak to like recent prices on there. I'm fully on the HP hate bandwagon, PC servers, laptops, any of it. Yeah. HP, the company people like to hate, especially their printers. We can all just collectively dislike their printers and whatever the stupid drivers that they've got on there. But full disclosure on an app thing, I will say I've only heard tangentially through them. I've not directly owned a NetApp device I've never had to be the admin on a NetApp device. So I often hear things from the other people, some replacing things. So people have their biases. That's why I've never done a review NetApp and don't really plan to either. So what do you think of the HL15? I really like it. What are you going to build on it? I'm just going to load it with Debian 12 and a lot of Docker stuff. And it's just going to be a pure Linux box. I'll have Houston on there for UI, but it's just going to be my Linux machine for Docker and fun and things I want to get done. Why all the HP hate? Any company that thinks that upgrades should be behind a paywall for firmware is definitely going to get some hate. Jeff from Craft Computing has done a video on this. The HP has got just a weird mix of systems that need to be on there. Some are behind paywall, some are not for some of your updates, but collectively, printers also just terrible. HP, if you've been a printer admin for over a decade and you can attest, HPs are the worst in the market. Yeah. I really like my HP Z230 workstations for the countless toolless and quick release. Those are nice. I figured what the Z is that the little one, the Z HP. Whoops, HP Z230. That's the mini ones, right? Oh no, it's a full size one. The HP mini ones are actually we had a few of those. Those are not bad. We never had a problem with them. You can find them used. The Lenovo makes some, Dell makes some, but they're the really tiny PCs. I remember all the good old days of Sun. They were once close to ship a part via private jet from London to Stockholm to live up their SLA. I was able to solve it before that happened. Yeah, interesting for sure. PC load letter. Tiny Micro. HP Gen 8 and older are no longer paywalled, but Gen 9 onwards are paywalled. HP just stupid things with drivers. Yeah, I don't understand paywalling like service updates for stuff. I am new to home networking. Your videos are very helpful. Excellent. Thanks you very much for the content. Awesome. Yeah, this one's a tower size one. I have the 4990, not the Xeon CPU as well. Yeah, those little mini ones are just handy to have around. They're definitely cool little systems. Let's see. think I got. Oh, cool. I feel caught up on questions. Has any of you already worked with the FSCOM unifying switch? What is it a model you're asking about? I'm assuming you're talking about this fs.com. Switching. Enterprise switches? Or is it the switching? They're an interesting company. I don't launch demo. So I gotta log in, sign in. Not today. Yeah, I don't know. Like the problem I have is going to come down to, do I trust this company to write good software? That's tough, especially when it runs the fabric of your network. Thoughts on private pre-shared key feature in a recent UniFi release? I mean, it's cool. That's my thoughts on it. Oh no, paywall's not exclusively HP. We're just hating on HP because they do it. You can hate on everybody who does it too. Yes. It was my first TrueNAS system. Now I have upgraded and will repurpose to the Z30 as a PF Sense router. Awesome. Yeah, I don't know that I trust the quality of the software they do. I don't know. What is your preferred way to keep XCPD networking off the physical networks? Is it mostly bridges and VLANs, or have you tried SDN? What do you mean keep off the physical networks? Are you talking about how you get two systems to talk to each other? Usually VLAN is the easy way to do it. It's, you just create a VLAN and have the two servers talk to each other. If you look in, I've talked about this before. I'll go pull this up. So like our lab networks, we have a bunch of them. But when we build virtual infrastructure, I mean, replace these with production if you want. But if I only wanted servers to talk to each other, I can just create a special VLAN, put them all on it, and they would all just talk to each other. And if that VLAN doesn't exist outside of, I mean, because it's between servers, it has to exist on the switches that are between the servers, but that would work. Does anyone actually use inkjet anymore? I'm fine if that goes away, if no one uses that anymore. Mainly virtual machines talking to each other, both on different hosts and the same. Yeah, VLANs are really, I mean, there's more ways to do it than VLAN, but VLAN's the simple way to do it. Can a self-hosted Linux UniFi controller back up the config to the UniFi account, or is that limited to UniFi consoles? That's limited to my knowledge to UniFi consoles. I haven't been able to get GRE and VXLAN to work between servers and XGPNG. I only played with it once or twice. Oh, VLAN 1337. Yeah, that's in there. Where did that one go? Hold on. Show all the pages. Yeah, there's definitely a 1337 in here somewhere. Where is that? It was on the screen for a minute. Oh, well. Because we can just switch anything to it if we want. We have so many things in here, so we can just go through and swap networks on all of ours. That's why we do this. This is how we move our networks around. Like even this is one of the staff members. This is all the networks he has. He's got what 5 interfaces on this. We have a lot of stuff going in our lab. I got my own demo lab. What is this? Oh, it's my Windows lab one. 1.3. But yeah, you just swap, and it makes it easy here to pick out whatever one I want. WAN lab, CGNAT. If I wanted it to have a CGNAT address, I've got different things set up. Then I can just fire up my Windows boxes. Tom making Mean King tries to hide it, but when you see him using VLAN 1337 and 10.69 subnets, yes. Oh, there's a VLAN 69 as well. Yeah, VLAN 666. There's a lot of silliness in all the VLANs I have. You're not wrong at all. Yeah, there's definitely if you watch one of my videos, I talk about VLAN 69 a couple times. I find how many jokes I can make on this. Go computer, go. I don't think it's been started in a minute. It's probably gonna want a bunch of updates. I don't think I've done much with this lab server. There we go. Let's boot it up. Tell Windows run some updates. Check for updates. There we go. Give it something to do. Oh, look, it's why it's slow. It's already downloading them. Oh no, I can't do Windows 11. I'm so disappointed. What do you offer on the grant? What do you offer on the Grand Stream Ubiquity Wi-Fi access point part, or if you have other solutions? I don't understand that as a question. We offer UniFi. We don't do Grand Stream. XO's learning curve. The only thing I found that I couldn't do. I've only started playing with Proxmox, but I quite like the look and simplicity of the XO interface. So they support ZFS. Yes, but they don't have any web UI to manage ZFS. So yes, you can do ZFS, but just so you know, you configure it from the command line. Yeah, Zen Orchestra has nothing to do with ZFS. It's just a control system. So it doesn't do anything with the ZFS. Install now. Doing it live. How much hard drive will this chew up? Windows is like grinding away. Windows Update just chews on hard drives. Chews them up, spits them out. Just wish it can do SMB from the ZFS storage directly. I don't really have a use case for that. Not for your hypervisor shouldn't be sharing. If you want something to share storage, that's a NAS. Your dedicated enterprise hypervisor shouldn't have anything else in it than it needs. That's why DOM 0 is so thin. Like, you just load the basic hypervisor and start using it. You don't want to cram everything else in there. Dedicated storage host is best for XCP-ng. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. I would say, having, and that's what most time, I mean, I have local storage, but if you notice, this is a remote storage. So we got 64 disks on this one here, 64 VDIs on this one. But we got a few I think I got enough free space. I got 234 terabytes here. Is that enough? I could probably fit a few more on there. I loathe Windows anymore. It's almost exclusively Linux nowadays, but I do have to fix Windows at work. Yes. Yeah, ExoStore is going to use DOM 0, but ExoStore is dedicated to, the ExoStore system for doing the hyperconverged. Do you recommend companies use their own self-hosted UniFi application or have it on-prem? Instead, we currently have an Ubuntu server on Vultr managing 3 buildings. We manage 70 clients in our controller. So I don't see any reason to have to manage multiple controllers. I mean, we have enough bandwidth that 70 of them is not a problem. I've been gone for a week, Jason, so I really haven't had a chance to play with it. I just got back from Florida, so I've been gone for a week. And I didn't take it with me because there wasn't any network things to plug into. My plan is to start playing with it probably next week. Does anybody run Netdata and pfSense CE? No, do not do that. That seems like a bad idea. How are you using 938 gigs? I don't know. It's just a lot of stuff. I don't know what all is in here, but there's a lot free. There's still a lot of terabytes of free space. This thing's still Windows updating. Nope. Good, I'm all up to date. There, my Windows server's happy. Oh, see, it needs to be. Why doesn't it have a IP address? Oh, I probably don't have something loaded on this. Oh well, I won't. I'll fix that later. It's got management agent, but it doesn't have any. Huh. Something's broke. I'll fix it later. It's not showing the IP address to the system. We'll show it here, so I can put it on one of my other networks. Is there any networking on Lab 101? We'll put it on VLAN 69. There we go. Someone will be happy about that. That device you keep talking about, Patrick reviewed, seems pretty cool. Child firewall, even virtual host of some sort. Yeah, I want to play with it some more. I got all this stuff, and then I was in Florida for a week. When you have ridiculous storage, you keep lots of junk. Yep. I thought I was a data over 40 terabyte on my server. Yeah. Something I broke, I'll fix it later. Oh, yeah. For sure. I'm stealing VLAN 66 for guest future deployments. Great idea. Yeah, it's just fun. You put them on, the guests go on 666. We get so much silliness on all the things we have set up. And of course, I don't Windows very well. So the people ask about the network. It's for the 1337. If you notice, the IP address here is, and I'll blow it up a little bit. 10.13.37 is the IP range that it puts that on too. So 10.13.37. So officially, if you didn't pay for the TAC, you're not following your license or whatever. Unofficially, I've upgraded 3 of them, and they seem to work fine. If you have, I have a bunch of stuff in my lab that I was running the lab license on or the home license on, and they seem to upgrade to 2309 perfectly fine. So I didn't have a problem with it. I just do a boot slice beforehand in case that changes. So I all the ones I upgraded work fine. My coworker was just wearing the shirts that said 333 half evil. And yes, I like that. Can't wait till we go some IPv6 so we can do some dead beef jokes. Yeah. Set all your dispensary clients to VLAN 420. We can go with that. We can do that. Let's restart this. Restart. That'll fix whatever's wrong. I put it on VLAN 69. I still don't know why it's not picking up the network agent. I may have broken this because I don't know what I was doing with it. There's a chance I broke it because I don't remember what I was last doing with this server. Probably the Blumera demo or something. On Zen Orchestra, you can manage Windows computers. Please are back on the Windows for desktop PCs and laptops via offsite. No, that you don't understand how Zen Orchestra works. Zen Orchestra manages the VMs. It does not manage non-VMs. It does not manage devices external to the system. It only manages the systems that are on here. Huh, weird. It says the management engine's there. I don't know. (172.69.100). There we go. Yeah, Synology Active Backup for Business is definitely more ideal for that. Definitely going to work better for that. Does anyone actually use VMs desktop on a daily basis? My works keeps trying, but third render does not work for crap on a VM. This is the problem when you start trying to sell that as a solution, and if someone needs a webcam for their Zoom meeting, and you're like, "Oh, that doesn't work very well over the VDI solution." I'm like, yeah, 3D rendering and stuff. It's such a band-aid on a problem. That's really how I feel about it. But I think I'm gonna wind this down. I've been doing this for 2.5 hours. I'm getting thirsty. I gotta go get some more water. Ran out, and I'm gonna chill out before my voice runs out. My voice is still rough, so Proxmox comes with Spice, which is the only thing I like better to run Proxmox XCPNG. I never really used it, but I just don't like. I'm not gonna spend any time in the using this as the UI. This is just when we interact with all these systems on here. We're never. I pretty much, unless I just gotta watch it boot. Like, hey, cool, it booted. Look at the console. All right, booted. I don't use it from here. I'm going to SSH into this. And that's just how I manage. I mean, they're mostly Linux, but even if they're Windows stuff, I'm pretty much going to use a remote access tool because it's going to be superior than trying to manage it right there. So, but thoughts on Windows 365? Oh, I wouldn't. I mean, why? If you're talking about the whole, run the Windows in the cloud, sounds expensive. I'm sure salespeople are really excited to start selling it. I don't know. I mean, there's no way about it that's just going to be expensive. And once you lock in and stick everything in the cloud, the price always creeps up. Despite compute going down, storage going down, they're like, hey, it's $35 a month. No. 45. No. 55. No. It's just a $200 a month to hold your computer in the cloud. So a lot of them, you start doing the ROI on some of these, I'll run the computer in the cloud. You're like, wait a minute, I could buy a brand new computer every year and still be ahead of what these cloud ones costs. They've just got expensive. I've not seen any that have convinced me that it's a cost savings measure at all, because you still have to have a computer to access it. So I have to secure the computer that accesses the computer in the cloud. So I still have to secure two computers now. I've now created complexity and cost. But I guess it depends on the goal. I don't know what problems it solves. Yeah. Windows and VLAN 365 and keep your data at home. There's more and more things are becoming web applications. That's the reality of it. So web applications are the kind of the solution to this. When you see, well, it's the smallest things I kind of look at going, wow, cool. I can manage my virtual infrastructure and everything that I got here, all my demos and things I got running, all right here in a web interface. I'm managing virtualized infrastructure. You think about all this is being delivered through a web interface and all the things I can do to manage my storage. I'm like, well, exactly why do I need an entire, system to render all this? It can be rendered all in the browser. And now I suddenly don't have to have some entire virtualized operating system running just to bring one application in. So that's where the future is things being turned into web applications. The Band-Aid to get to that future is, I got a Charlie horse. Sorry. Is VDI. So I'm gonna end this stream with my Charlie horse on my leg, and that hurts. Ow. That's an unexpected ending. Ooh. Anyways, sitting crooked, my leg hurt now. I guess I'm getting old. Thanks everyone for joining, and awesome. Let's see, hold on. Oh, because they want us under the thumb forever. That's why software's going to subscription instead of having software forever. I mean, I don't mind supporting software to keep developing it, but you're right. I mean, some companies want you locked in, and that whole desktop in the cloud is a big lock-in for sure. So thanks, everyone, and I will chat with you guys later.